ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Monday, April 28th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Busy weekend for the Thundering Herd. We're going to recap all of that, take a look at the draft as well, and we're going to hear from you. Yesterday, the Thundering Herd getting the sweep of South Alabama with a 4-0 shutout behind Clint Moak's 7 innings pitched and 8 Ks. Softball also takes 2 of 3 at Georgia Southern, moving into third place. It's a tie in the Sun Belt there. And then, unfortunately, and I was rooting for John Mercer. He was just with us a few days ago on the program, and I was hoping that we kind of gave him that championship rub. He fell short. The tennis team falls to Old Dominion, finishes Sun Belt runner-up, and, of course, we've got football to get into. The NFL draft, Mike Green to the Ravens. You have several Thundering Herd players as camp invitees, and we got some word earlier today that as far as the current football team, it's going to include Justin Williams-Thomas. He signs with the Thundering Herd. He is a 4-star running back. He is a Tennessee and Cal transfer. And also just finding out as well that Dezane Mingo, you want to know where he ended up? He's transferring to Charlotte after one season at Marshall, where he averaged over 12 points a contest, over 5 assists, and he also brought in almost 5 rebounds. So we will talk more about the portal moves and some of those NFL prospects, how baseball is getting ready now for the showdown with West Virginia, and of course, just talk a little bit more about basketball as well, because the transfer portal might be closed, but we're going to start finding out soon where several of these players will be landing, and hopefully a lot will be coming with the Thundering Herd. But we got to start with baseball because Clint Moak was a jewel on Sunday. 7 innings pitched, had 8K, 0 earned runs in that win, 4-0 shutout over South Alabama. So Marshall is getting a lot better in Sun Belt play. I think that's the one thing that we can talk about Greg Beals has been able to do for the Thundering Herd, and we're seeing progress. And that's what I think a lot of people have asked for in baseball. We're seeing progress now with the Thundering Herd. Good crowd at the Jack on Sunday. Over 1,200 fans in the ballpark. Marshall now 23-22 overall, 9-12 in league play. So the Herd is getting a lot better. We're going to need to see that down the stretch. And I think a great sign for the Thundering Herd will be how well it plays. That's going to be against West Virginia, taking on the Mountaineers. It's going to be at Go Mart Ballpark. I love how this series is stacked. This makes sense. In baseball, we can do this. We can have a game in Morgantown. We can have a game in Huntington. And we can have a game in Charleston. The Mountaineers get a home game. Herd gets to go into Mountaineer territory. The Mountaineers get to come down to Huntington into Herd territory. Everybody gets a home game. And then supposedly a neutral location. It's in Charleston. I'm curious how neutral that location will be. Of course, the capital city. A lot of people are trying to turn Kanawha County a little greener. And, of course, opportunities like this give a chance for Herd fans to obviously come out and be seen and be heard. So baseball on Wednesday, taking on the Mountaineers. And actually, I was in Charleston on Saturday, and I did see some Thundering Herd digital billboards on the way up for tickets. That actually made me happy to see more digital billboards for season tickets for football. So I think things are getting better as far as trying to grow the fan base a little bit more. Baseball is one of those sports where I think you've got a lot of room to grow, and going up to Charleston should be fun. So I'm excited. I think Marshall will give them a game. We'll see. It's coming up on Wednesday, and Marshall is starting to climb in the Sun Belt standings. You get a series sweep, that's going to improve your spot, and you also have an opportunity now to kind of turn that around and put it all together against West Virginia. And, of course, West Virginia's won the first two, so you wouldn't be taking the series. But if you get one of the three, all right, we're looking good here. And on a neutral location, I'll take that. I mean, if you win at home, that's one thing. You're supposed to win at home, but if you can go into Morgantown, win that game, or you can go to Charleston, win that game, I feel a lot better about where the team is. And, of course, that'll just get them ready for the tournament because West Virginia is really good. Also, softball, how about the Herd? 2 of 3 with the victory this weekend, winning the series. Did fall 6-0. Still, I'll take 2 of 3 in the series. Won the first game 3-2. Game 2 was a 9-5 victory. And now the Herd's tied for third in the Sun Belt standings heading into the final stretch. So the Herd's back. We're going to be seeing them on May 1st. That's going to be against Georgia State. So you've got a series against Georgia State. And you also have an opportunity to improve your spot in the playoffs, in the postseason. Softball championship is coming up sooner than you think. Actually, it's coming up on May 7th. So, you got an opportunity to see the Thundering Herd. You better see them now. It's getting to that point now. So we're running out of games. We're wrapping up, honestly. Next few weeks, that's going to be it. And then it's going to be the long wait for football season. So you've got a few more opportunities to go see the Herd, at least in softball. And, of course, hopefully the Herd can make a run in the softball championship. I feel good about where they're at right now, and I would like to see them get the series sweep as well. But I will still take I'll take a series win. Where they're at right now, I feel good. Don't have to be the top team in the standings. You don't have to be, but you're right there among the leaders. So I still feel good about where they're at. All right, our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll get into the NFL draft. We're going to get into the portal, talk a lot of football with you. We'll get your reaction to the weekend as well with our text line. All of that's coming up. Thanks for tuning in to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Calling all steak lovers. It's time to fire up the flavor at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Introducing the Grill Master Weekend Special. Choose a juicy New York strip or a tender ribeye, cooked just the way you like it, and served with 2 signature sides, all for just $29.99. Big taste, big value, big flavor. But only on the weekends at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Savor the grill and celebrate the weekend like a true champion with the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe on the corner of Fawn and 3rd Avenue in downtown Huntington.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect? Please? I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude,
How's the temperature?
it's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
Sup?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think you would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to this Monday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter wrote in and said about Mike Green, thought that Mike Green, who just got drafted before the weekend, second rounder, Mike Green might have been underweight for an NFL linebacker, but he has strength and speed. Says that the Bengals should have took him and converted him to linebacker, and they need help there too. I appreciate that thought. I was very, very upset just for a moment. I was disappointed. I would have loved to see the Bengals take Mike Green, and I've seen some of the grades. I'm not so sure how accurate those grades are. I think the Bengals were looking to kind of provide some protection for the quarterback at the same time, improve defense. And, we're not really going to know what this draft looks like until we get down the line. I've seen the grades. I know Mel Kiper's all over those Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders getting picked up. And I know a lot of people were high on him, and a lot of people felt that he was probably one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. And so I think this was something that we manufactured as a spectacle, because the draft, of course, that means we zero in on guys that are supposed to be high draft picks, and they don't get drafted high. And with everything that goes on with the circus that is the Sanders family, I think being Shedeur Sanders kind of hurt him a little bit with the circus that comes along with it. Maybe the Cleveland Browns are going to be laughing all the way to the bank with him in the lineup. You pick him fifth, it's really no risk and almost all reward there. But as far as the Bengals draft was concerned, so we were all waiting for Mike Green, and we finally got to see him drafted. The good news is he goes to Baltimore, and that's going to be great for him. And that's also going to be great for the fact that that's a team that will use him. That's a team that will develop him. And that's a team that I don't want to see at least twice a year with Mike Green coming after Joe Burrow every single game. I don't want to see that. That's how much I wanted to see Mike Green play as a Bengal. But instead, I'm going to have to look at him at least twice a year coming after Joe Burrow, my quarterback. But he's drafted, and we were all hoping that we would see J.J. Roberts picked up. Now, he doesn't get drafted. Instead, he signs with Tampa Bay. Okay, that's a good landing spot for him. And then you got a couple of players that got invites, and the good news is that I'm sure we're going to see more of this free agency coming around. We're going to see players, get invited to camp. We're going to see players that find homes. So it's not all done just yet. That's the good thing about the NFL draft. But you have players that actually will find some teams. But the good news here is that now that Mike got drafted and you got players that are starting to find spots, you have players starting to find spots on NFL teams. You have a situation where Marshall can start building some credit again. But how important is draft? How important is draft? Because if you're a guy like Mike Green, you get signed, hey, he went to Marshall. How rare is that going to be in the future? Because honestly, here's the thing to think about this. With a guy like Randy Moss, who stayed at Marshall and then went to the draft, Marshall got a lot of kickback off that. And then you have a guy like Chad Pennington who stayed at Marshall all the way and got into the NFL, and you got a lot of kickback off of that. I know you got some kickback off of Troy Brown as well, Byron Leftwich. You started getting kickback from all of that. Vinnie Curry. Now, in this day and age, when you might have a player for a season, if you have a player for a season, will all that matters is the player got drafted, or will the school have a little bit as well? A little bit, hey, that guy was like 3 places and then he gets drafted. Or does that still mean something with that player was at Marshall before he got drafted? Mike Green, I think, is going to have an impact. If he has a great career, you're going to get some kickback off of that. Hey, Mike Green, he went to Marshall. Oh, hey, you can get drafted out of Marshall. And the thing about the Sun Belt as well is the Sun Belt's starting to get a little more kick. So you've got the reigning Sun Belt Football Player of the Year being selected in the draft. The conference is starting to produce consistently more and more multiple draft classes, more than one. And so Green goes in the second round. That's the Sun Belt's highest selection since Louisiana offensive lineman Robert Hunt. Hunt was picked in the 2020 NFL draft as the 39th overall pick. And Green is also, and I know Marshall hasn't been in the Sun Belt long, but Marshall's the 10th Sun Belt student athlete all time to be selected, either in the first or second round of the NFL draft. And so he's also the 3rd NFL draft pick of Marshall's so-called Sun Belt era. And of course, there's Rasheen Ali. So Green, Ali, Baltimore Ravens now. Do we have a Marshall to Baltimore pipeline? And of course, Micah Abrahams gets picked up in 2024. So do we have that pipeline now? That's another thing to keep in mind. Baltimore, it used to be New England. You thought, hey, yeah, we got that Marshall to New England pipeline possibly going. And now you could have that Marshall to Baltimore pipeline. Baltimore is close. How many Marshall fans might pick up and go, hey, let's go see Baltimore. Let's go to a game. Let's pick one. We're going to go. We'll see Mike Green there. How many Marshall fans went to go see Vinnie Curry play at the Eagles? I know a couple. Absolutely, I'm going to see a lot of people in Green go see Mike Green in Baltimore. Or, of course, make the trip. If you're looking for a game to go to and you want to see Mike Green, there's also Cleveland. There's also Cincinnati. There's Washington, if he ever is there, if there's a game. But mostly it's going to be Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. Let me not forget them. I try to forget them every day. So you've got this pipeline going in the NFL, and you also have a few players get picked up. And it was good to see the exposure because, you're getting double exposure, by the way, of Mike Green and some of these guys because Marshall's putting that stuff out there. Obviously, the league's going to put it out there. The Thundering Herd social media accounts are going to put it out there. And then Marshall's former coach, Charles Huff, is going to put it out there as well because he's trying to build his cred. Hey, look, what's one of my guys? One of my guys got to the NFL. You want to go to the NFL? You want to be like Mike Green? I'm sure he's genuinely proud of those guys, but at the same time, I know his name still causes a little trigger warning around here. He is putting it out there. So you're getting it. You're getting the exposure from all of these guys getting picked up in the draft, or at least making some moves. And I'll tell you what, as much as I don't like the Baltimore Ravens, I will watch more Ravens football now when it doesn't conflict with a game I want to watch, because I want to see how the current Thundering Herd players are doing. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll get you caught up on what's happening the rest of the way and your text on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40%. Help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, Ray Crabtree, 304-736-8181. In Milton, Russ McRae, 304-743-9318. And in Lavalette, Jason Elkins, 304-529-7555.
Hey, Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year for March basketball. Frank's has you covered from the Sun Belt to the SEC, NBA to the MLB. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
At Poca Valley Bank, a handshake can still mean the start of a great relationship. We've been greeting customers with a handshake since 1908. Why settle for less? If you're purchasing your first home or planning for your future, Poca Valley Bank is here to support you with personalized service and local expertise. They are your trusted advisors. Why settle for less when you can experience banking with a team that truly cares? Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm Nori, and when I was young, my mom opened our home to someone who needed a secure and safe place. She taught him what it was like to have someone care about you, having dinner at home or going out to eat together.
In West Virginia, families open their homes every year to adult family care.
Some folks need a little extra help, but everybody deserves a family.
Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an adult family care home finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff. But still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hey, is that a faucet running? Nope, that's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. It is? Yeah, forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. The water comes straight from the forest to us. In fact... What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum. That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe. How do trees clean the air? They soak up the dirty air on their leaves, branches, and trunks, which means clean air for us.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep, but the forest does more than give us clean air and water. It gives us shade for hot days, birds to listen to, and trees to climb.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know how cool the forest could be. Hey, let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. We appreciate them for their sponsorship of the show. So until we start getting your text in, let's get you caught up on everything that is happening across the board. Of course, baseball action. The Pirates have today off. Lost to the Dodgers 9-3 yesterday. The Reds in action tonight against St. Louis after getting the weekend sweep in Denver. Reds beat the Rockies 8-1. The Red Sox took it out on the Guardians 13-3. Cleveland will play host to the Twins. That's coming up tonight at 6:10. We got NBA playoff action tonight, 7:30. The Cavaliers are at Miami. Cleveland leading that series 3-0, so we can definitely expect a sweep coming out. And some good news if you're following closely the local kids coming back to Marshall. Add former West Virginia High School Player of the Year, running back Judah Price from Independence High in Raleigh County. He has joined the Marshall football team. He was cut from the WVU Mountaineer squad at the end of spring practice. So that leads me to what I think should be in the future an opportunity for Marshall to go after some of the better players in the state. And here's why. Now, I had this conversation earlier today with a few people independent of getting ready for the show. And if you're a local in-state product, do you go to Morgantown, you go to West Virginia, and do you go because you think you're going to be able to play at that level consistently? Not I'm going to sit on the bench, I'm going to be a depth guy, but I'm not going to get starting time. Or do you go somewhere where you can have more of an impact? Now, if you are one of the very best in the state of West Virginia, you're probably, for the most part, looking elsewhere. You're maybe looking at one of the major power schools. If you're that good, if you're 5-star, you've got options. But what if you're one of the best in-state products, and you're looking to play? You want to play. It's not about, hey, I'm going to WVU. It's the in-state school to go to. No. What if you're one of the best players in the state of West Virginia, would you look at possibly staying in state, if you want to stay in state, and actually getting more playing time, actually having a better opportunity to start and to play and to get better? Where would you go? Would you go and hope to get in the game, or would you go somewhere where you probably have a better chance? And, of course, until the whole roster shakeup is done and you get a kind of feeling for where things are going to go, would you go somewhere where, if you're an in-state kid, you want to stay home, wouldn't Marshall make more sense for you? How would you put that argument to a kid? If you're recruiting a kid right now, make the pitch. Why do you take Marshall over WVU? I mean, make a serious pitch. Not anything that's trollish. This isn't Twitter. This isn't message board stuff. This is legitimate. Hey, here's the pitch for why you should stay in state and play for the Thundering Herd. What is your pitch? I'm putting you're the recruiting coordinator now. I'm going to make all of you recruiting coordinators today. What's that pitch look like? Because you're finding that there are a lot of players that are going to give Marshall a second look because you might have a better opportunity. If you can play Division I football, why wouldn't you take a chance on Marshall more so than West Virginia, knowing that right now it seems like a lot of in-state players are getting recruited to West Virginia, but not many of them are staying. Of course, we've seen a lot of roster cuts, and that's going to happen. We don't know where this is going to go. We don't know what the roster limits are going to look like, what the whole situation will be. But at the end of the day, if you're an in-state player, why don't you take an opportunity at Marshall over, say, WVU? I would think that playing time would matter more, the opportunity to play, the opportunity to get on the field more, instead of being scout team. Am I wrong in this? Am I looking at this from a biased perspective? Or wouldn't you want to say to a recruit, hey, it's great if you can get on the field, that's fantastic. I wish you the best, but you have a better opportunity here to get on the field than you do in Morgantown. Is that the pitch for some of these in-state players? And, of course, we're seeing some of these kids come back. And I think a guy like Coach Gibson is really going to recruit in-state. You're going to try to get the best players. And if you're able to, you might be able to keep some of the better players that are within a circle around Huntington. I mean, that was something that Coach Huff talked about. You wanted to put a circle around Huntington. Get all the players from in that circle. Recruit inside that circle because you can get all those players. And he brought in a lot of players in the transfer portal, but did he truly hit the circle? Yeah, somewhat. It's noble to say that, but I think you got a guy like Coach Gibson, you can actually make that argument. But he probably needs a little help because that's why I've hired you today. I put you in that role as the recruiting coordinator. I mean, I would just look at the kid and honestly, tell him the truth. Hey, we think you can play. We think you can play consistently. We think that you can get on the field. You can be a starter. You're going to be close to home like you want to be. At the same time, they're going to actually be able to come to a game and see you play. Now, I'm not saying just accept all the kids in the state of West Virginia because they're football products. If those kids can play Division I football and those kids can bring meaningful minutes to when they're on the field to the program, then all means you need to go after some of the very best. If it's Division I caliber talent that you're looking for and you can find it in the state, you need to be on it now. Yesterday, the day before, every in-state Division I caliber player you need to have talked to, you need to have seen, you need to have evaluated, and I know that's going on, but I would make that full court press. Find out. A lot of these kids don't go to school for the NIL. You're going to see that's sometimes going to be maybe a bonus because there's not that much money out there. If we're being honest with ourselves, there's not that much money out there. And eventually, this thing is either going to blow up or it's going to fragment a lot more. And I know I've heard the idea of maybe a college pro level, which fine, go for it. I liked college as what it was, college. Instead of the college system now closely mirroring the pro system. We have the advantage of being able to recruit kids from high school to want to play for your school. I mean, the NFL you draft, and then those players are with you for a few years. But there's also the money that every team has, and it's a different animal. Now, we're trying to model college a little bit more like this, and you're going to see spending that's going to become more and more ludicrous as we go. And it's just going to get to the point where a lot of schools won't be able to keep up. A lot of schools won't be able to fund the athletic department, fund the players. And I don't mean paying coaches' salaries. I'm talking about everything that goes with this. I mean, because you don't have these lucrative television contracts to fund all this stuff. And so you're taking charters, you're trying to, and these conferences, the way they're laid out right now, I mean, thankfully Marshall's in a conference where the travel's a lot more reasonable than it used to be. I mean, travel-wise, probably the best conference for you was the MAC. Marshall wanted to be a little bit better than the perceived notion of being a MAC school brought along with it. So here you are. You moved to Conference USA. Well, Conference USA kind of shifted away from being Conference USA, so Marshall finally was able to get a lifeline and get out of that league and go to the Sun Belt, which I think that the Thundering Herd is going to do well. And it was a good move for Marshall. Television-wise, you're not necessarily going to be raking the cash in, and there's more exposure than you did have in Conference USA. But at the same time, I think what you need to do when it comes to recruiting, you're not pitching the NIL, obviously, but I think playing time still matters because a lot of these kids aren't going to get these big NIL deals to begin with. And so if you're playing at that point where you're going to have to spend a lot of NIL money, how much of that is going to really go towards local products? You're trying to get the home run hit every single time. You're looking at the transfer portal. You're looking at all of the names out there, and you're trying to bring in as many people as you can. And sometimes you're going to have that local kid that maybe is good enough to play for you, but not going to get that much playing time or might not see the field, whereas that kid would grow and develop in a situation like Marshall, where Marshall's going to get good talent. Marshall's not going to get the home run hitter, not going to get the multiple 5 stars, but you're going to get a good group of kids, and you can probably develop them, mold them, put together something. You'll still get some good talent. But I just think the argument always should be, look, if you want to play, you can come to Marshall and play. You're going to get an opportunity to stay home and play. I just don't know what is going to be the trigger for a kid to say, yes, you're right, coach. So that's where I'm putting you in charge. You are my recruiting coordinator today. Text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Now is the time to add on a new bathroom or remodel your old one with the latest up-to-date bathroom fixtures from Mutual Wholesalers, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Come in today to Mutual Wholesalers' beautiful showroom and see how your new bathroom will look. Check out Acre by Max. Have a new bathroom this year. Mutual Wholesalers, locally owned and operated, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Call 304-525-9118.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Save big money on everything you need for your next project at Menards. Steelworks offers a wide selection of aluminum and steel materials for any project. Choose from durable steel angle iron to tubular steel and aluminum and steel sheets and rods that are built to last. Perfect for DIYers and professionals alike to get the job done right. Shop and save today on Steelworks products at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer at menards.com for even more great deals.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year for March basketball. Frank's has you covered from the Sun Belt to the SEC, NBA to the MLB. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay, Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The Forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
How was your day? What did you do in school? I'm Dale Lee, president of the West Virginia Education Association. And these two simple questions can encourage learning in your home. Showing interest and asking about the school day can help motivate your children and keep them excited about learning. So stay involved, stay curious, and ask specific questions. Student success involves the whole family.
A message from the West Virginia Education Association.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
It's our final segment for today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Plenty of time for you. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We mentioned it earlier. Cal running back Justin Williams-Thomas signing with the Thundering Herd on 3 reporting. Former Tennessee transfer, was a 4-star recruit in the 2022 class, and he's going to add some talent and some depth to the backfield. Of course, we know that the Thundering Herd not done just yet. That's the challenging part. We have the spring game, and then you throw all of that out and you start just about from scratch again, but a new pickup for the Thundering Herd. So I wonder how much of the transfer portal signings the next few days will be impacted by the draft this weekend. We alluded to that. You know, you're going to get some kickback from Mike Green being selected. And, of course, Coach Gibson, I really haven't figured out his true recruiting style just yet as far as what the pitches are. Yeah, I don't think he's a man of many words, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have anything to say. I just think that he's very, very smart, and he says what he needs to say, and there's more substance than sizzle to it. More meat, less grease, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's you get a piece of bacon, and if you get a lean piece of bacon, you're going to get a pretty good cut of bacon. But if you get a piece of bacon and there's a lot of fat on it, you're going to get a lot of grease. Not that much bacon, you're going to get a lot of grease. And so I think he's not flashy. He's not going out and dropping social media gifts at all hours of the night. He's not going out there and trust the process or closing the gap or the Steph Curry gift. And if I see another Steph Curry gift, I don't even. I used to like Steph Curry. I don't like Steph Curry now because I got tired of seeing that thing. I mean, he's a good basketball player, but you would see that and it just. Yeah, and I get it. It excites the fan base. Oh, hey, coach dropped another gift. We got another big kid. And no, I think I have gotten to the point where I just want to see results. I want to see less flash, more substance. Am I the only one that feels that? I can't be the only one that feels that. But like today, we know that Marshall's picked up Justin Williams-Thomas. We haven't seen too much flash and sizzle about that. Does that mean I'm less excited about it? No. What it means is, I think this coaching staff is, get to work, blue collar. I mean, I'm not saying this is like Doc Holliday coming to work every day. That man would come at the dawn of daylight he would beat the sun in, and he would beat the doors down all day trying to put this thing together, and then he would go home at night. And I know, Coach has got a different personality than Doc, and not to say that there's a true comparison there, but what I'm saying is that I think Coach Gibson's more of a grinder. He's not sitting on his phone all day, checking Twitter, checking X. He's not doing that. Or at least I don't think he is. Maybe he is, and he's just quiet about it. 304-396-SONG, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of the show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Texter writes in, and Texter says, Paul, West Virginia brought back Coach Rod to, quote, restore relevancy to WVU football. Hence, by their own admission, West Virginia University football is irrelevant. If things don't improve in a couple of years, I'd sell that to a prospect. That's a good line to use. I like that. Appreciate the text. So if you're trying to sell a kid and staying in state, you would point that out that, hey, you have a better chance of being relevant here than you do there. Sure, they have a great schedule. They're playing in the Big 12. Sure, that's great. How much playing time will you get? Would you like to compete for conference championships, or would you like to be middle of the pack in the Big 12, if that? Basketball is a completely different story. I think the program has a potential there that's still untapped. But in football, that's a good line. If you're trying to keep a kid in state and convince them to go to Marshall instead of West Virginia. And I don't think it's so 1v1 on that. I mean, there's kids that are looking around, but usually if a kid goes to WVU and then gets cut and it's a good in-state product, Marshall's like, hey, we didn't give up on you. I know you didn't choose us the first time, but all is forgiven. We got a spot for you. I'm excited. Zod Jackson's going to be with the Thundering Herd. I'm excited. Local kid. I love that. Kid's going to get a chance to play. Family's going to be there. Friends. And if you get a good group of local talent that can play and that can compete and enhance your team, you're going to build some fan bases across the state. Now, I'm not saying you're going to win every county in the state of West Virginia, but boy, if you are a viable spot for these kids, over time, it's going to be all right. That's another reason why you won't see West Virginia play Marshall anytime soon, because if Marshall would actually get a few of those games, that's going to put a dent in West Virginia's recruiting in-state talent. It's just one small thing here. There are several reasons why. A lot of it's financial. A lot of it is Marshall has nothing to lose and everything to gain, and West Virginia has nothing to gain and everything to lose. And that's ultimately the real reason. End of story. There's nothing to gain from West Virginia's point of view for playing that game. Marshall has everything to gain and nothing to lose, because at the end of the day, if Marshall doesn't win that game, well, we told you so. Marshall can't beat WVU. But if Marshall wins that game, the big fear is that we're going to have this huge 365-day parade. We are out of time. We're going to do it again tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Have a great night, everyone.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.